Dr. Ivo Eggman Robotnik is the main antagonist in the Sonic the Hedgehog franchise. He's the only character to have existed as long as the titular protagonist, and has appeared in almost every single Sonic video game since his debut in the very first Sega Genesis title. In both the narrative of the Sonic universe and in the development that went into it, there's a lot some fans may not know about the villain, and some facts that are downright horrifying and absurd. So today we are taking a closer look at those with our list of the top 10 scary Eggman facts. Some of these are unsettling, some are scary, while others will just make you very uncomfortable with the round mustachioed villain. So with that in mind, let's get to it. And at number 10, he created the zones. There's a lot to be learned about Robotnik, and Sonic for that matter, that you can find in the original Sonic the Hedgehog Bible. For those of you unfamiliar with the term Bible, in media, a Bible is the document that contains all of the information about your story world, your characters, and essentially everything you need to know about the show or game or what have you from a development and production standpoint. It's kinda like your guide, in a way. Anywho, there's a lot of details from the initial Sonic Bible that shines a lot of light on Robotnik, including the fact that he's the one responsible for creating the zones in the Sonic games. After he became evil, more on that later, Robotnik not only turned all of Sonic's friends into evil robots, badniks, but also as an extra precaution, he sent the Chaos Emeralds into orbit and cloaked them in 6 separate warps of confusion, also known as secret zones according to the Bible. This is under the impression that Sonic wouldn't be able to gain access to them that way. And at number 9, the Beatles connection. Eggman's name derives from a Beatles reference, the song I Am the Walrus. This works in 2 ways. For starters, the fact that Eggman represents a more negative aspect of humanity, and the second being an obvious visual reference. I Am the Eggman is a line in the song, and Eggman himself actually looks like a walrus when you take a look at his mustache and his collar on his shirt from the original design. He's basically one giant Beatles reference, really. And at number 8, his 2 names. Speaking of Eggman's name, let's take a look at the fact that he has 2 names, Dr. Eggman and Dr. Ivo Robotnik. Eggman was the name that the Sonic team gave the antagonist originally, and many see this as his true name despite Robotnik being adopted as his name in the later Sonic titles. That happened because Sega wanted to unify his name into one, and have that name be the name moving forward, starting with the first Sonic Adventure game. The divide initially happened when Sonic the Hedgehog, the first title, was localized by Sega of America, who changed the character's name without consulting Sonic Team in Japan. According to Takashi Iizuka, I quote, "They just kind of went off and did it. It became super popular and everyone in the West kind of learned about the character as Robotnik. That went on through the classic series in the Genesis Mega Drive era, but as far as the developers are concerned, we really didn't want to have anyone in the universe with 2 names. To us, he's Eggman, but in the rest of the world, he's called Robotnik." I mean, I guess that makes sense why they amalgamated the 2 names into Dr. Ivo Eggman Robotnik, with Eggman being more of a nickname rather than one being on the character's fictional birth certificate, so to speak. And at 7, exceeding abilities. Here's another tidbit from that Sonic Bible. Robotnik was once one of the most celebrated scientists in all of Mobius. Damn. According to the document, I quote, "Robotnik holds every advanced scientific credential possible from all 11 universities in Mobius, as well as the Mobius Prize in Physics and Biotechnology. Now evil, he plans to further augment his mental capabilities by embedding a ceramic neural network in his brain to carry out physics calculations in his sleep." Whoa, talk about a commitment to his evil agenda. I mean, think about it, it's pretty scary that, he was that beloved in Mobius before he turned into a bad guy. And at 6, his diet. Yet another tidbit from the Bible. Here's a little insight on the kinds of things that Robotnik likes to mow down on. As you may have guessed, he is really, really into eggs. I quote, "Robotnik has always adored and still adores eggs. Hard-boiled, scrambled, over easy, poached, and in an omelet. Now he especially enjoys them raw, with a dash of Tabasco. He eats with his hands very slowly. It is not a pretty sight. I hope that is burnt into your mind every time you close your eyes. Welcome to my personal hell." And at number 5, Theodore Roosevelt. When Eggman was initially created, his design was very different than the Eggman we know today. Still kind of similar, but very different. This is what he looked like. He wore pajamas, had a much calmer and happier disposition, and looked a whole hell of a lot like the 26th President of the United States, Theodore Roosevelt. His design was altered in order to better suit the idea that he needed to be the opposite of Sonic, to represent machinery and development versus Sonic's representation of nature in the natural world. Eggman's colors are also the opposite of Sonic's colors as well. That, and he was designed to be simple so that children could draw him easily, which has now turned into the internet drawing him easily as memes. It's terrifying. Well done, Sega. I mean, it's not really your fault on that one, is it? And at number 4, rotten egg. Despite having his name changed to Robotnik, Eggman's association with eggs did not end there. In the Sonic the Hedgehog Bible, Eggman's creation is blamed on none other than a rotten egg. Based on this, the scientist became his mad scientist self when his molecules got mixed up with the rotten eggs when a wave of radiation hit his lab. In addition to this, early Sonic comics in the UK used to have the character constantly speaking in egg-inspired puns, and in the games there's even more references. In the Wing Fortress Zone in Sonic the Hedgehog 2, Eggman has an egg logo, capital E-G-G, that never appears again, and his space station is named the Death Egg, which is an obvious reference to Star Wars. Once again, that visual of him eating a raw egg. Yolk everywhere. Oh. And at 3, his smell. Yup. One of the other gems revealed in that Bible is how Robotnik smells. I shit you not. This is a direct quote about the character and his physical characteristics found there. Once a trim, muscular hunk of a man, Robotnik is now round with a decidedly egg-shaped physique and a deceptively jolly face. In fact, he resembles a Humpty Dumpty gone mad, with spindly arms and legs stuck onto an egg-shaped torso. He is bespectacled, bald and nearly bulging out of his lab coat. Plus, he smells like a rotten egg. There you have it, friends, the true Robotnik fact that you always really wanted to know. One can only wonder if this original interpretation of Robotnik is what has inspired the character's changes in the Sonic the Hedgehog feature film set to be released in 2020. Not the smell, but the physicality part. Jim Carrey begins as a slim character, but we did get to see a glimpse of him in his full Robotnik glory at the end of the highly criticized trailer. And at number 2, the hero. Perhaps one of the most frightening facts about Dr. Robotnik is that he was almost the protagonist of the Sonic games, or rather the franchise that would eventually become the Sonic franchise. Prior to 1990, Sega had a mascot by the name of Alex Kidd, and the company in April of that year decided it was time for a revamp, commissioning its research and development department to create a new character to replace the stale mascot. This was all in response to Nintendo's boom of success with Mario. An internal competition ensued, and 2 characters were created and were in the running for this new mascot, one being Sonic and the second being the egg-inspired Robotnik. While Sonic beat out Eggman, the team, which would later become known as Sonic Team, decided to retain the design, making Eggman into a villain for Sonic instead. And finally, in our last number, his true origin. We mentioned a little earlier on that Robotnik came to be thanks to his molecules getting mixed up with the rotten eggs. But there's more to his initial history than that. According to the Sonic Bible, the true history of Robotnik differs from what we know as public knowledge of the character today. Prior to his accident, Robotnik was known as Dr. Ovi Kintobar. I quote, "A man of science with a svelte body and a finely honed mind." For a total of 15 years, the doctor worked in an underground lab conducting experiments that worked towards the betterment of life on Mobius. Anywho, he created an invention which is described in the Bible as ultra radical, the amazing transforming machine. He learns that the Chaos Emeralds are unstable and begins searching for a 7th emerald, called the Grey Emerald, that will contain the evil in the emeralds and neutralize it. Then he planned on burying the emeralds deep within the frozen core of Mobius, where they would be harmless forever. Dr. Kintobar befriends Sonic and boosts the Blue Blur's speed for him on his supersonic treadmill, giving him his iconic frictionless sneakers, and lets him watch all of his scientific experiments. But then a wave of radiation hits the lab, which causes the amazing transforming machine to zap Robotnik and mixes his molecules with that of the rotten eggs. And in the process, the evil inside the Chaos Emeralds also get mixed up with his molecules, turning him into his mad scientist self. But him and Sonic used to be buddies, isn't that kinda weird? Sonic must be like really beat up over that. Alright, there we have it, friends. What are your thoughts and feelings on Dr. Robotnik? Do you like the character? Do you think he makes a great villain? Are you terrified of seeing what Jim Carrey will do with him in this Sonic movie, let alone what he'll be like in the Sonic movie? That thing looks like a train wreck. Let us know all of your thoughts and feels in those comments below. If you dug this video, spread the love, hit that like button, and be sure to subscribe to Top 10 Gaming for more lists just like this one. We have a whole lot of Sonic lists. There's probably a playlist floating on your screen somewhere right now. Maybe click it, see all of the Sonic. It'll be a fun time. I'm very sarcastic. You'll like it. In the meantime though, thanks for watching, friends. I'll catch you all in the next video.